Hey, what's up? Naylor here, and in this video series, I'm going to give you 3 ways to take your PowerPoint slide content and kick it out as a video. PowerPoint slides delivered as presentation-style videos are one of the quickest and easiest ways to create compelling and engaging sales messages, to build credibility, trust, and rapport with your market, and really just a whole bunch of useful business purposes. I won't be covering how to create good slide presentations in this course. I've got lots of material in other courses to teach you how to do that. We're going to focus on taking that which you've already created and getting it out of PowerPoint as a video that you can use in your business. So let's get started. As I mentioned, I boiled this process down to basically 3 different methods. Think of them as good, better, and best methods. And as you might expect, they also go from simple to more complex as we kick things up a notch, moving up the quality of your results chain. And when I say good, better, and best, I'm really talking about a matter of mistakes. In other words, how mistake-free, polished, and professional will the final video be? Basically, the good method will inherently have some mistakes, while the best method will have 0. Anytime you present your PowerPoint slides by opening your mouth and speaking, you're bound to have some ums and ahs, maybe some fumbling or stumbling. And there's nothing tremendously wrong with that, as long as it's not too distracting. How I determine which method to use depends on the job of the video. For example, a sales or squeeze page video of mine is likely to have 0 mistakes because it's a very important revenue generating video, and the better I look and sound, the better I come across to the viewer, and the more effective the video is at its job of converting the viewer into a lead or a sale. A less important kind of video, maybe a quick relationship building tip or a product review, doesn't really need all the spit and polish to be effective. In fact, a casual conversational tone and style can work to your advantage for some of these. And speaking of mistakes, I'll also make this important video creation point. PowerPoint is an excellent graphics and animation tool for creating presentation content. It is not a video editing program. So while we love to use it for creating basic video content, to get any kind of professional results consistently, we have to use the proper tool for the job of creating a quality final video. In this course, I'll be using my recommended video editor, Camtasia Studio. And next I need to talk a little bit about the overall process of creating a video. Almost all PowerPoint presentation videos include a narration component. In other words, someone speaking to the slides, just like a presenter on a stage would do. There are 2 ways to record a PowerPoint presentation with narration: winging it and not winging it. Here's what I mean by that. Winging it would simply be looking at the slides and speaking to them, very much like a speaker on stage would do. Think of it as recording a live presentation. Certainly, a well-prepared presenter can pull this off with some pretty impressive results. But here's the thing. As video creators, not live presenters, we have the opportunity to remove the live element and pre-record our narration if we choose. The difference between live and pre-recorded basically comes down to this: to script or not to script. A script, of course, is a written down version of what will be said. This can be anything from some simple notes or even bullet points that you elaborate on as you speak to a full-blown word-for-word text of exactly what you'll say. Now, I know a lot of folks truly hate the idea of using a verbatim script, and I'll make my case for that in a minute. But first, let me just say that for me, again, it depends on what the job of the video I'm creating is. That old rule of thumb. If the video's really important, I'll write and use a full script every time. For a sales and squeeze page video, the message and its delivery has to be what I call right and tight. In fact, for the demonstrations in this tutorial series, I'll be using a real example of a product launch video. For my product launch to be as successful as possible, The videos have to be right. They gotta be tight. You with me? On the other hand, a quick tutorial or tip video usually only requires an outline of what I want to talk about, and I'll take it from there. You should always use at least one of these two to keep your message on track and not be rambling too much. I'm not going to say one method is better than the other, because that depends on your style and your skills in speaking. There are a lot of folks who prefer to speak naturally and casually off the cuff in a presentation, and that's awesome if you're one of them. I'm just going to lay out the case for both so you know what your options are, and you can try them all and see what you like and decide which is best for you. Okay, so let me make that full script argument so you can see the pros and cons. I already mentioned the big one, a solid, tight message. To write my scripts, I don't use a fancy template or anything. I just use Microsoft Word. But I like doing this because I actually use Word as a kind of planning document. I can just start to put stuff on paper, make sure that it flows. I can revise and edit. And again, for videos that really matter, make sure my message is exactly what it needs to be. And speaking of the message, here's a big tip. A lot of folks make the mistake of crafting their PowerPoint slides first. I recommend you start with a script or detailed outline because the message is what's important. And once that's finished, I look at that and create my slides according to the message. This is going to make your presentation flow much more beautifully. And at the end of the day, a good visual video message is really what we're going for. I can literally look at the words and find images that visually go perfectly with my narration. Make sense? Oh, and one more benefit to using a full script. At the end of the day, I have a fully documented account of the content, right? I can repurpose and leverage that work I did on this text into an ebook, to blog or social media posts, YouTube transcripts, lots of stuff. I'll talk more about scripting tips in some of the more advanced processes. But first, let's jump over to PowerPoint. And I'll quickly cover how videos of our PowerPoint slides get recorded using the simplest method, recording live. Now, since we're using Camtasia as a video editor, conventional wisdom might suggest that we would also use it to record our screen to capture our slides as video, right? Fire up the Camtasia recorder, go into slideshow mode in PowerPoint, record our slides and audio narration. And you certainly can do that. But before you do, let me just point something out that you might not know about. Yeah, you can actually record your slides right within PowerPoint. In PowerPoint 2010 and higher, there's a feature on the Slideshow tab called, cleverly enough, Record Slideshow. And if you click it, you'll see that we can record the slideshow with animations and narrations if we want. So here's the scoop. I can just launch this and click through my slides as usual, narrate as I go, completely winging it or referencing my script or outline as I click. And when I'm finished, PowerPoint will save all my clicks, animations, transitions, slide advances, and narration right into the slide deck itself. To get all this recorded goodness out of PowerPoint as a video, just go to File, Export, Video. And PowerPoint will spit out a full HD quality MP4 video for us. Boom! So our two options for recording a live style presentation to video are record with Camtasia or record with PowerPoint. I almost always record with PowerPoint. It's built right in, and it's easy. Plus, recording with Camtasia means I need to use the Camtasia recorder, make sure the frame rate settings are set for high quality, possibly have the recorder in my way. There's really only two cases where I want to record my screen with Camtasia. Number one, if I really need my slide video to be full HD quality, meaning 1920 by 1080 or 1080p, PowerPoint currently can only produce to regular HD quality, 1280 by 720 or 720p. If that's the case, set your computer monitor resolution to 1920 by 1080. Start the Camtasia recorder. Make sure you are capturing 30 frames per second under Tools and Options. Check that your audio is set to record if you're doing narration. Kick your slides into slideshow and record. When you're finished, you'll have a Camtasia recording file you can pull into Camtasia Studio, edit it if you like, and produce it. The other more rare case is if you want to use the PowerPoint drawing capability. In slideshow mode, you can click this little pen tool and write stuff. I call this whiteboarding. If you want an actual animation of the writing to be in your video, you have to capture it by recording your screen. And this can be some fun and interesting content. If you'd like to use it in your videos, I highly recommend you get a graphics tablet, which is a device you just plug into your computer and use a stylus to write on. Trying to write with your mouse is really tough. Whichever program you use to do the recording, here are some presenting live tips for you. If you're a beginner, here's a big one. Start with just a very few simple slides and a very short and simple outliner script to practice with. If you try to make a full-blown production business video before you learn any of these processes, you'll just be setting yourself up for frustration and disappointment. Trust me on this one. Learn to swing the hammer by pounding a few nails before you try to build a house, right? Okay, so we've created a script or outline, created the slides to match the message. It's time to record. I'll be using the PowerPoint method to demonstrate and PowerPoint version 2013. Make sure you have your microphone or headset plugged in and selected in your control panel. And before you hit the record button, let me just suggest this. Save yourself some editing time and frustration by rehearsing a little. Just go into Slideshow by clicking the Slideshow tab and the button here, or pressing the F5 key. You probably wouldn't walk up on a stage in front of an audience to present without at least flipping through the slides a couple of times. Well, it's the same thing here. Oh, and by the way, your audience could be in the millions. Just saying. Okay, let's record. On the Slideshow tab, for the live method, press the Record Slideshow button. Make sure both boxes here are checked and start recording. Here's some tips for you. If you make a big mistake, just pause for a moment, collect your thoughts, and repeat what you wanted to say. If you mess up again, repeat this process until you get it right. Try not to be clicking or advancing bullet slides until you get that good take. Once you have that, then you can move on. In the editing process, mistakes like this can be easily edited out, leaving only the good speaking part if the mistakes and the good part are right together. This can work pretty well and let you move through the slides without starting over, and you'll get better at it over time. When you reach the end of your slides, PowerPoint will ask you if you want to keep your narration and timings. If you think you have a take you can use, say OK. You can preview your recording before exporting the video by just going into slideshow mode and make sure you tell PowerPoint to use the narrations and timings you just recorded. You can also preview just your audio for each slide by playing the little speaker icon on the slide. If during the recording process you completely biff it and just want to start over, which happens more than you might think, especially if you haven't rehearsed, just hit the escape key and don't save the timing and narrations. If you do decide to start completely over from scratch and do another recording, I usually do a little housekeeping first. Use the drop-down arrow to clear timing from all slides and narration from all slides, and start your recording process again. But let's say you only really struggled on one slide. Here's a tip that can let you fix that one part right in your recording. Select that slide and clear timing and narrations on current slide. Then, instead of starting your recording from the beginning, just start from the current slide. Record a better version and escape out. You can repeat this for other slides or a selection if necessary. So when you're finished with your live stab at recording, just go to File, Export, Create Video. And I always export a HD 1280 by 720 video. Make sure you use the recorded timings and narrations and create video. That's pretty much it for recording the good or live method. If that felt a little messy to you, that's because it kinda is. That's why it's the good method, not the great method. But don't worry, we'll kick things up a notch in the next module.